Gordon's alive. I'm Liam, he's Rob, and this week on the Hey Guys podcast, we take a look back at Mike Hodges' sci-fi fantasy epic 1980s Flash Gordon. It might have been little more than a modest hit in the States, but this utterly unique space opera did massive business in both the UK and Italy before going on to become one of the most infamous and enduring cult classics of the 80s. Whether it be the psychedelic colour palette, its relentless comic book campery, or its utterly unforgettable pantomime performances, Flash Gordon is nothing if not memorable. And that's not to mention its iconic Queen score and genuinely magical orchestral sections by Howard Blake. Yep, Flash Gordon might not be for everyone, and how well it is aged is up for debate, but 46 years later, and there is still nothing quite like it. Now, we mentioned it briefly at the end of last week's podcast, but neither of us were massive Flash Gordon fans when we were kids. And upon rewatching it, I totally understand why. This is absolutely a film for adults, 100%. It's dark, it's camp, it's funny, it's very sexy. And even back in 1980, I'd say it's like something of a tonal throwback. I'm like, just to be clear, I quite enjoyed this film now, but I'm just like, oh yeah, I must have found this so weird when I was like 8 years old.
So, yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely a film for adults. Unfortunately, it's not a film for this adult.
Well,
Like,
I wouldn't try and talk you off that.
oh no, and I'm not gonna totally shit on this film. I'm not gonna I'm not attack is a wrong word, but I am gonna say why I have issues with this film. But I can understand why people like this film and why people gravitate towards this film. For me, the campiness, the bad acting, the bad dialogue, and the speed of this film all feel they just don't gel with me. In regards, I didn't like that all of a sudden they're all over all the different moons of Mongo. You know, there's a tree moon, there's this moon, there's that moon, there's flying things, everything's going on.
It's pacey, I'll give it that.
No,
there's a lot going on in this film.
I have to ask, before we get into it, did you plan a Richard O'Brien double bill?
It was a complete accident. I didn't know he was in Dark City, and I, truth be told, completely forgotten he was in this. And in this, you actually think he's going to play a bigger role.
Yeah, you'd be forgiven because he's the weird tree or flute playing tree nymph who his only role is to lure Flash Gordon into the place that he's not allowed, just so they have an excuse to kill him.
It's because he's like Timothy Dalton's number two. Oh, that's certainly how it's presented. I thought, he's going to play a pretty large part for the rest of the movie. And he plays a key role in that moment. That is an important part of the film in and of itself, I guess. But then he just disappears. He just completely disappears.
They all disappear. None of the tree men, except for Timothy Dalton, rock up and help. It's every Hawkman you can find.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Why is it? Because you have, I think of like that kind of big sequence at the end is like the flight of the Hawkmen, and one of the more impressive sequences in the movie.
Yeah,
and they, like you said, they all fly into battle, but the tree folk, they just chill back, except for Timothy Dalton, of course.
And the other question is, and I'm going right into a Rob take, but I have to ask it: why, if all the Hawkmen and Hawkwomen can fly, is there one rocket cycle in there?
It's hard to say. I guess like anything else, you get tired, maybe. I guess it's like, why would you have a car if you can walk? It's like maybe there's like a limit. It's like, they can fly so far, but like walking or running or anything else, eventually you get tired. So maybe they just need their kind of
the one rocket cycle.
One is, yes, it's a bit of a stretch.
And
but
also,
as soon as Rob take, you could literally apply it to the vast majority
everything.
Of the
You apply to the fact that Flash Gordon knows how everything works. Just literally,
if I was being kind, and the way they set him up actually was surprising because you see him, he's like, I'm the quarterback of the New York Jets. He's got a T-shirt with his name on it, but right from the off, in a sequence which I totally forgotten, it's like, wait a minute, is that the Isle of Skye? Yes, Flash Gordon is on holiday in the Isle of Skye in Scotland. He's very much set up as a Renaissance man. He's like, oh yeah, I'm learning to fly. He's quite I don't know, like he's a much more approachable figure than I thought he was going to be. Because, like I said, my memories of this are really hazy, and I thought he was going to be like the quintessential action hero. And you watch this, it's like, oh, he's quite charming and nice to everyone. Obviously, when he has to get down to business, he gets down to business. But for the most part, I was like, I suddenly buy into this idea that he's skilled in many facets of life because he takes interest in things. But yeah, he is a bit of a what's the term? A Mary Sue. He can
Yeah,
just do everything because he kind of has to.
he's not a good actor.
No, but
No, he's not.
but I would say Sam J. Jones, he's not the greatest actor, but he is a very likable screen presence, I think. And
I think so.
that's like a personal taste thing. Like you say, he's objectively not a great actor. But as soon as he's on screen, I'm just like, oh yeah, I just like this guy. I can see why everybody digs Flash Gordon. And that's the most important thing. Because even the bad guys, Ming, Timothy Dalton, everyone in this film kind of just falls in love with Flash Gordon. And you need that. You need to be able to buy that. And I'm just like, yeah, I can totally see why everyone would just
Even
fall in love with Sam J. Jones.
even Timothy Dalton, who hated him from like get go for no like.
Yeah.
But this film is weird because this film is like you either love this,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
you either love this guy from the get go or you hate this guy from the get go.
But you'll love him
There's no
eventually.
there's no in between, is there? It's just like
No.
what I want to say before we get too deep into the film. Congratulations! I'd shake your hand if we were in the same room. With the inclusion of Flash Gordon into our repertoire of films,
Mhm.
we have now completed the William Hootkins known for on IMDb.
About time. I mean, it's been something we've been working towards for many years. Who's
Yes.
William Hootkins?
Well, he was Munson in this. He was Zarkov's strange little helper in the greenhouse NASA
Oh, I
place who
see.
ran
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
he's Porkins in Star Wars.
Oh shit. Yeah, yeah. He is
Yeah.
Porkins.
He is also Eckhart in Batman.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Great. He's great as
Yes.
Eckhart in Batman.
Yeah. And he plays Major Eaton in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, yeah. Great shout. I just didn't know the name, to be honest. Like you said, I know Porkins, obviously, and everyone knows him as Porkins, but he's better as Eckhart. He's really good as a totally
He's
fun
really good.
character in
But
89
so
Batman.
Major, he's one of the guys who goes to recruit Indiana Jones. He's the guy that has the pipe
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
Raiders of the
yeah.
Lost Ark.
He's good
Yeah.
in that as well.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just like a classic, that guy where he just pops up in a bunch of things. I didn't know his name there. I'm assuming if you hadn't looked it up, you might not have known his name. But I am glad that
I mean, I watched this. I watched him have this weird symbiotic relationship with Zarkov where they were sleeping in the same greenhouse. And a meteorite landed in his lap. And then he got up, he woke Zarkov up. And I went, fuck me, that's Porkins.
Yeah, it's a great. I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's one of my favorite characters in this film. Zarkov is absolutely brilliant in this film.
I love how
Like he's such.
I love how Zarkov can't be brainwashed because he held onto a memory.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the name of the actor? Chaim Topol. It's just you set up this whole idea that like Ming is Ming the Merciless. He takes over whatever he wants to take over, and he's got this army, and it quickly becomes apparent that his army is useless, his machines don't work. His number two is I don't know if he's trying to overthrow him, but he's not up to much. I mean, I really like. Sorry, you're going to
So
say something?
yeah, I was sorry about his number two. So I learned something about that. In regards to that, what was his number two? He was Officer
General Clytus, played by Pete
General
Wingard,
Clytus.
who is
Yeah.
also fantastic in this film, I think.
So there is a reason why Clytus wears a mask,
Mhm.
and it was going to be addressed in the sequels they were all signed up for that never
Is that so? Right?
emerged.
Is that supposed because when Clytus dies, it's like both oddly underwhelming and absolutely gross the way his eyes
he
come through the
melts, yeah.
mask. And I was just like, well, that's badass. But then, so he looks dead as fuck, in fairness. But then at the end, with the hand where it says "the end?" question mark, and you get the hand come across, I was like, was that Clytus's hand?
So it was hinted that it was going to be Clytus's hand.
But he
There's a
melted.
there's a reason why Clytus wears a mask. There are Clytusi.
Oh,
Apparently.
Clytus is.
Yeah, Clytus is.
I don't know which
Basically,
one's right.
Clytus is a clone of Ming. Every time Ming
Oh,
dies, Clytus
yeah.
takes his mask off, becomes Ming. New Clytus, new clone of Ming, puts a mask on, becomes Clytus.
Well, I mean, I like the idea that, like, firstly, your first question is, well, he doesn't sound anything like Ming, but I like the idea that Ming's representation, which let's be clear, you can't pass off as anything other than a racist yellow peril Asian stereotype in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, the Fu Manchu mustache, it's something you have to get over in this day and age. I mean, it's an older film. I find
But it's not so much it's an older film. Sorry to interrupt again.
No,
It's
go for
because
it.
it's a serial from 20s where
30s.
Asians and 30s, okay, so we're the Asian market, and I said market, and the Fu Manchu, they were always declared the
Well, that's
bad
what he
guys.
looked like in the
Yeah.
comic book, and like you said, this is going back to if you go back and like look at the old Tintin comics, they're racist as fuck. They're just not, not what we would accept by modern standards, and it was probably pretty dodgy in 1980, let alone 46 years later. It is something you need to get over. It's so silly and so ridiculous that I'm just like, okay, it's fine. It's hard to kind of see it as anything other than it is though, because when they go to Ming's palace, it's awash with communist kind of iconography. It very much looks like communist China, albeit with like Japanese robot samurai, maybe.
The Munchkins, maybe.
Oh, Munchkins, yeah, sure, of course. There's a lot going on. In fairness, when they go in, and that's one of the weird things about this film tonally, is that up until they go to Ming's, I don't know, greeting hall, whatever you want to call it, which is a great sequence.
I called it a throne room.
Throne room, yeah, that's probably much more accurate. Up until that point, this film was gaudy, it was slightly silly, but it was tiptoeing around being remaining grounded. It was like, okay, they've got a space rocket and stuff like that, but it was kind of, following a pretty standardized plot. And okay, they go to space. Nobody acts particularly surprised when one, there's a spaceship, two, they're on an alien planet, three, they're meeting intelligent life on an alien planet. Everybody, Dale, Zarkov, I guess, was kind of expecting it. And Flash, they're all just like, well, I guess there are aliens and I guess on an alien planet. Let's just get on with things. It's only the moment in his throne room when it suddenly turns into a football game that this movie completely jumps the shark. Up until then,
Absolutely.
It's relatively standard sci-fi fare.
I mean, it's skirting the edge, but I agree with you.
No, it is skirting the edge because of the
gives
color planet and stuff. But
up until the fact she gives him the weird, oh, it looks like a football, now he knows what to do with it thing. And then she, on the sidelines, go, Flash, go. And she's cheerleading.
And even Clytus starts, giving kind of like orders to his men to basically like a football coach. Yeah, they had a huddle. And then all of a sudden you've got the Munchkins running round, and you've got, Brian Blessed knocking the soldiers on the head with his mace thing. And it like, don't get me wrong, it's a fun sequence. But if I'd never seen the movie before, I'd be like, well, this has changed gear.
It is,
and of course, and you see it all the way through the movie. And it's one of my actual issues with the movie are the tonal inconsistencies. It's like they don't know if they want it to be funny or serious or somewhere in between. And the writer, this went through loads of writers because, the producer, and let's be clear, it's despite the fact that it was directed by Mike Hodges of Get Carter fame, this really is a Dino De Laurentiis film. He was the one who was kind of pushing this forward. And he brought in Lorenzo Semple Jr., who later said Dino wanted to make Flash humorous, which he later thought was, at the time he was like, all right, let's just go for it. But looking back on it, thought it was a terrible idea because he was like, it meant we kept fiddling around with the script. We could never decide what was supposed to be funny. And the original comic book back in the 30s, which was created as an alternative to, what's his name? Jesus Christ, it was a really famous comic book back in the early 30s. I'll get it in a minute. It doesn't matter. Buck Rogers. It was an alternative to Buck Rogers. It was never played off as being funny. It was supposed to be a serious sci-fi. And of course, then they make this like ultra campy film. And I was like, well, there was nothing else quite like it other than two things. And De Laurentiis was involved in both of them. Batman, the TV show, which feels somewhat similar to this. And I guess the closest thing to this tonally, aesthetically, everything else is probably Barbarella with Bridget Fonda. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Barbarella.
I've seen Barbarella, yeah.
It's fucking insane. I mean, this film is really sexy. Barbarella is on a whole different level. And my God, Bridget Fonda is so hot in that film. It's easy to get because she's one of those women who's always been. I mean, when we were younger, you'd at least class her as being a grown-up when we were really young. But for the most of our lives, I feel like she's been an old woman. And then you see her in Barbarella and you're just like, wowzers, man. She is absolutely smoking. But that film is totally worth rewatching because similar to this, there's nothing quite like it anymore. But
maybe
that's maybe the closest to this film you're going to find.
Maybe we'll give it a beat before we go pure campy and do both films back to
back. You can't do
really.
Flash Gordon and Barbarella back to back. No way.
So you mentioned Dino De Laurentiis, right? I want to know what bloody rock that guy was living in because apparently he'd never
Living
heard
in
of.
the rock rather than under the rock. That's
Well,
what
he was
intense is.
living in or under something because
Mhm.
he'd never heard of Queen until they were hired to do the soundtrack for this film.
That's
Right,
spectacular.
Queen, who have released one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 albums before
Mhm.
Flash Gordon. Who the fuck are these guys? Like,
I mean, because he was that. Well, that's one of the things I mentioned in the intro. The fact that this wasn't as big a movie in America, and obviously Queen have become this huge thing now. I don't know back in like the early '80s in particular how popular Queen were, say in America. I'm sure they were popular enough,
I
but
want to say they were popular enough. Yeah,
I suspect that goes some way towards explaining why this was so much bigger. I mean, part of the reason it was big in Italy was because of, there are a handful of Italian actors in this film, and people just came out to see them. But it was huge in the UK, and I bet you, like, Queen played a massive part in that. Like, Queen is maybe over here at least is probably the reason that this movie has lived so long in the memory. Like, what do most people know this movie for now? We know it as a disinfectant advert. Everyone knows the
yeah.
music being used
Flash.
for the
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And that's why this movie's lived on because of Queen. But yeah, it's still surprising I'd never heard of him though. That
Speaking
seems
of
insane.
speaking of Queen, it's insane that in some random universe, Flash Gordon and Highlander seem to share like a common thread, not because of Queen themselves,
But
but
also because
because
of Queen.
oh yeah, also because of
Yeah.
Queen. But in this, I can't remember what actor said it, but one of the actors says, "Who wants to live forever?"
Yeah,
And
that
then
is quite peculiar.
I'm waiting for Queen to break into that song, and then I realized, no, that's Highlander.
Yeah, was the song. Did the song already exist though?
No, they didn't do the song in this. Who
No,
wants to
no, I
live
know
forever?
that,
Oh,
but was it already a Queen song, or did they write that song specifically for Highlander? I guess is the question I'm asking.
well, the
Because
question.
I immediately thought of it when he said it. I thought it was just a Queen nod. They're just like, oh, this is just a cool little nod to Queen and the fact that they're involved in the soundtrack. But you might be right because I totally believe that they'd written that song for Highlander because it seems so incredibly on the nose. I guess. Hope you're looking
I'm
it up
just.
now.
I am literally. You
Okay,
asked
well that's
me.
fine.
You asked me. I asked AI. So we'll get there in
Fair
a
enough.
second.
Fair enough. We'll
Oh
get there in a
yeah,
second.
Queen absolutely wrote "Who Wants to Live Forever" specifically for Highlander.
Yeah, that is weird then. Because like you said, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's a cool little Queen nod. It didn't even dawn on me. I was like, of course, they wrote it specifically for Highlander,
Yeah.
which is bonkers. But yeah, this film, the thing is, we say about links to Highlander, the weirdest link with this film is unquestionably Star Wars. Basically, if it wasn't for this film, Star Wars would have never been made
Yes.
because
Yeah.
George Lucas
Lucas wanted to do
famously,
it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when you look at Star Wars, and fundamentally, I was trying to decide, beyond the Barbarella comparisons, and a lot of that comes from the camp and the sexiness. But I was like, thematically and tonally, what's the closest I can get to this? And the closest I got was actually Star Wars crossed with Big Trouble in Little China, and Big Trouble in Little China definitely cribs from this film, 100%,
Yeah.
with like
Okay.
Ming and the Ring and all that jazz.
Ming
And
in the Ring.
they're kind of making the women his slave. There's 100%, but with a hit more than a hint of '60s era James Bond, and that's what I think they've kind of gone for there. But yeah, he obviously, wanted to make this kind of 30s, 40s serial, but they turned him down because he hadn't made anything other than THQ 88 or whatever the fuck it's called. And he's like, well, I'm going to make my own thing. So Star Wars is basically his version of Flash Gordon. And that sounds ridiculous when you watch the film because you're just like, but this is so weird and sexy. It's like, well, yeah, but the original source material isn't this weird and sexy. Dino De Laurentiis made this movie the weird, sexy, kind of unique piece of cinema it ultimately became, which
This
is
was
cool because, like I said, there's nothing like it.
this was like one step away. There was a was it Russ? I want to say Russ Myers. It might not be in Russ Myers. There was a state in the 70s, 80s, and 90s of this actor doing these weird sexploitation films about women with
Mhm.
big boobs running around. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
the Valley of the Dolls and things like
Mhm.
that. Russ something, I can't remember his name. Uh, but it's like if he got hold of that, it's I would imagine Flash Gordon. I'd just imagine Dale and Princess Aurora just having bigger tits, and then that's all they needed
I
in his
mean,
eyes. So
to say that, I mean, this movie is relentlessly sexy. I mean, to nudge this into pornography or a porn parody would only take the slightest of nudges, similar to like, to bring it back to James Bond. It's like if you go back and watch, especially some of the Roger Moore stuff, you go back and watch this film like Moonraker, for instance. It's good fun, but it is campy nonsense. And you realize to get from that to Austin Powers, you're like, man, it's a nudge. It's not a push, it's a fucking nudge. And when you go through like Princess Aurora played wonderfully by
yeah,
Ornella
no,
Muti.
Have you
She
seen
is.
her lately?
No, no, not
I
lately.
don't know, so I Google it. Oh my God, she aged like a fine wine.
Oh no, sorry, I did see a picture. Yeah, she looks great. She looks
Yeah.
fantastic, and she looks great in
71.
this. Yeah, and she has sexual chemistry with everything, and I mean, she has
Every
weird
not,
sexual
not
chemistry with
everyone,
her own dad.
everything.
Everything, a
Everything.
treat,
Yeah.
anything. I have never seen a lead actress with so much sexual energy in a movie in my entire life. But between her having sexual, energy with literally everyone. There's Flash's leather pants, weird. Ming being a dirty old bastard with his Viagra power potion. There's random pillow fights played with a straight face. There's incredibly phallic ships cut all the way through this film. There's a sexy whipping sequence. There's all sorts of filth in this film, and it takes it right to the edge, dude.
Brian Blessed's mace is phallic as fuck. The best name ever, Prince Baron. Like you couldn't be one royalty, you had to be two. Okay, so Prince Baron,
Ridiculous.
his sword was a like just basically a dick. It was
Everything.
insane.
It feels like most things are ridiculous. And one thing, or two things, I guess, I need to really give a shout out to Brian Blessed's pins. My God, he's got a great set of
Yes.
legs on him.
Yeah.
You can see, like, he's obviously got the power belly under the Hawkman suit, but you can see that guy was obviously used to be like a power lifter. And I was like, God damn, he's got great legs and fantastic teeth. Brian, and he's fine. And I mean, in a movie which is already turned up to 11, that sequence when you have Brian Blessed and Timothy Dalton like battling against each other, I'm like, I have never seen so much scenery chewing in all my days.
I can imagine his legs as well just being on point because apparently those wings were super heavy and uncomfortable. Like they
Oh, I
weren't
bet.
allowed, they couldn't sit down with them because it like squeezed into their back and compressed their chest. So when they were resting between takes, they were just all lying on the floor, just lying belly up
Oh,
on
I
the
don't
floor.
blame him. I bet you he was
Yeah,
just doing squats. Well, he did say when he was 80 years old that he was still able to bench press like 300 pounds, which I think is like
fucking
130
beast.
kg, which
Yeah,
is fuck. If he's not talking shit, that is a huge amount to be able to
yeah,
bench press
yeah.
at any age, let alone at 80 years old. But like you see him in this film, and like you said, you always think of him as being he's almost like an old school prop, isn't he? In rugby, like he's got the big belly, but you're like, if you told me he could run the 100 meters in like 12 seconds in his, 11, 12 seconds in his, prime and be able to bench 150, I'm just like, yeah, he looks like the
Oh,
kind.
and that belly mine is hard as stone because there's muscle
Oh
hiding
yeah, yeah,
under
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's not like just flabby.
Oh,
It's
he's so good. But
yeah.
then I know you're
Oh,
not. I know
sorry.
you're not as warm on the film as
So
I am, but I really do
yeah,
enjoy the performances.
going back to Brian Blessed.
Mhm.
You did the quote because there's only one quote you can actually do this. I tried to do it last week when you told me about the film.
Weird though, right?
Mandela effect is well, I want to say Mandela
Totally.
effect. It's been retconned by Brian Blessed himself because
In my brain, I was expecting it to be something
yeah,
else. Totally.
yeah, just loud and like
Yeah.
billowy and
I was
like
just
Gordon's
basically, I was just
alive.
Gordon's alive, and
Yeah, but
instead
he's
it's
not in
like,
whispers. Is he?
but it's very questioning. He's like, Gordon's alive. It's
Yeah,
like it's completely different to how he present. Like if he goes on like these talk shows and stuff, and he's doing the whole Brian Blessed thing and his big voice and
I
everything.
think for us it's the is QI when he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh well, is it QI? Have I get news to you? I can't remember which one it was, but when he guest hosted one of them, it
Mm-hmm.
was like yeah. I mean,
See,
he made a living on Gordon's alive.
the last thing I saw him on was a Japanese TV show called Unbreakable Banzuki. Is it sorry, Unbeatable Banzuki, and it was one of those where it's a Japanese game show, and obviously they're just getting him to do the kind of English voiceover for it,
Yeah.
and he's just wearing this like bizarre kind of plastic samurai suit, and of course, with him just turned up to 11, it's strange. It is fucking strange, but it's very watchable, like most Japanese kind of game shows are.
I had to laugh with Brian Blessed as well because when they were having this weird fight and somebody mentioned about Luro, his second in command,
Mhm.
was down, and he went, "Oh, what did he say? Impetuous boy." I'm thinking, dude, that guy's 60 years of age. If like he looks so
Yeah,
old, he's not an
don't get me
impetuous
wrong.
boy.
He could have easily been like 45 or something.
Yeah,
People age differently back then. But yeah, Brian Blessed gives a big performance. But it's, when people think of this film, though, I think a lot of them still think of Max von Sydow primarily as Ming the Merciless. And part of that is the whole Fu Manchu thing. But he is fantastic. And the aesthetic, while offensive and racist, it is memorable, if nothing else. And when I was watching this film, especially the start, and you get that great opening sequence with like the Earth, which looks like totally chintzy, and the kind
Yeah.
of zapper points looks like an old kind of arcade game. But I was thinking, is Ming the Merciless the most evil baddie in cinema history? I mean, anyone who's got an earthquake button on his ship has just got to be legit evil. And most bad guys, even think of like who's the most famous one, Darth Vader. They fundamentally have reasons for what they're doing. That is established over time. Okay, they try and provide at least a kind of olive branch. Even if you disagree with it, you can see where they're coming from. Ming the Merciless just does it for the love of the game. He's just like, I just like blowing shit up. Like there's no other reason given. He's just like, yeah,
It's
I'm just gonna fuck Earth up. Why not?
it's quite nice that they speak English for Flash Gordon and everything. So that's nice. And
That is lovely.
the other thing, apparently, it's just an earthquake, but
Mhm.
everything else is Mongol. There's
Yep.
Mongol miles, there's Mongol minutes, Mongol hours, but it's not a Mongol quake.
It's very strange, and like many aspects of this film, massively inconsistent. It's like, well, when if we were to briefly jump to the end here, when Ming is about to get married to Dale,
Yeah.
the absolutely kick-ass travel agent who, for some odd reason, like 30 minutes into film, just single-handedly goes like full Snake Plissken and takes out like five of his kind of royal guards single-handedly with no, they've all got weapons, and she just smokes them. I'm just like, why can she do this? She's a travel agent.
Why did the maitre d' know she was a travel agent as well?
I don't
Like
know. It's very
Flash
ridiculous.
Gordon's on the plane admitting that he stalked her. Oh yeah, I recognized your beautiful face, so I asked the maitre d' about you. Like,
Mhm.
dude, creepy. You're both on a fucking plane on your own. Like, just take it back a notch.
He plays it pretty slick. I mean, she's already clearly in love with him. I mean, halfway through the film, they ostensibly get married. I mean, she thought. I mean, this is how much of a pimp
After
he
being
is.
together for 15 minutes. 15 minutes total screen time.
Well, basically, there's one point when he's doing like a mind meld with Dale, telling her, and she's like telling him how much she loves him. At the same time that's going on, Princess Aura is basically just itching to suck him
And
off on the ship.
he literally turned around and he's thinking, wow, she's giving me a hard on.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, that's
not you,
exactly
not
what
you,
it
Dale. I'm
is.
not thinking about you, Dale. I'm thinking about somebody else.
Somebody else. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it though. Don't worry. But anyway, so to bring it back to my point, when they're about to get married, Felix Mendelssohn's Wedding March plays.
Mm.
Why the fuck do they have Felix Mendelssohn's Wedding March on Mongo? It makes no sense whatsoever. But to say they play fast and loose with the rules in this film would be something of an understatement. And I
Yeah.
think they established like 20, 30 minutes in. It's just like, don't worry about it. Don't ask too many questions. Just go with the flow. You're either gonna like it. And like you said, you weren't so warm on it. I like it despite its myriad of faults. And I don't love this film. I do like it. But at the same time, I would totally understand if somebody absolutely adored this film. Like, I think this works
Yeah.
on the whole scale. If someone told me that they found it unwatchable, I'm like, I get it. If someone told me it was their favorite film ever, I'm like, I also get it.
I understand
Yeah.
the whole Mark Wahlberg in Ted thing now when he was in love with Flash Gordon. So
Yeah.
no, I get it. I when we talk about the acting though and the characters, I bullet pointed the four main characters. So I want to know if you agree with me on these, right?
Mhm.
So Flash, charisma of a golden retriever, dialogue of a malfunctioning robot.
Yeah, that's absolutely bang on.
Yeah,
Absolutely bang on. It's like a really dumb dog who you absolutely adore.
yeah.
100%.
Dale screams, faints, repeats.
Yeah, but with a brief moment of being a total badass.
Yeah. Ming, the only actor doing actual acting.
Yeah, he's actually going for it
Yeah.
at times.
And Volton, just pure chaos energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, it's easy to forget Robbie Coltrane's in this movie as well. I just totally forgot.
Yes, fucking yes, he is. He's the guy
He's in
that
Scotland. Of
waves
course,
him
he's in
at the airport.
Scotland.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's on the Isle of Skye. In a blink, you'll miss it. But I think Zarkov, Chaim Topol, I think he is, like you said, despite the grandeur, despite the ludicrous look of Ming the Merciless, Max von Sydow is actually trying to kind of provide a relatively layered performance as far
yeah.
as the script will allow. Chaim Topol as Dr. Sarkov, he is just swinging from the fences the moment he's on screen. There is no sun, and he's like, "Get your toothbrush and whatever." As he's pointing a gun at him, it's like every line he delivers is absolutely meant. Like you said, the fact that he's supposed to have his brainwash, but he's like, "Oh, but I was thinking of the Beatles and reciting Shakespeare, so that worked." It's like, okay, we're just going to go with that. That's absolutely fine.
I
But
love how NASA as well. Like oh, everybody at NASA has said that this is ludicrous. Now I appreciate if you're saying aliens are coming, but the moon falling out of orbit apparently is ludicrous when the world is turned orange. I don't know. Maybe at least one person's going to go, you know what, Zarkov
That
might be
it
onto
is
something.
weird. And that's another thing which, when they're on the plane, Flash and Dale, and of course, Flash goes up to her and says, "Oh, my name's Flash." She's like, "Oh yeah, I know." Like, dude, it says it on your t-shirt, which I always found weird because he doesn't actually seem like the kind of character who would wear a t-shirt with his name on it. But then another one of those like oddities of the film, when he gets changed into a space vest in the movie, it also has a bolt of lightning on it just by chance, just by
So
sheer coincidence.
there's a retcon, or I don't know if it's a retcon. I'll get to it properly in stats if I can find it. But there's something about that shirt. I can't remember where it's from, whether it's a novelization or
Mhm.
he wears the shirt because it was given to him by a fan who he fell in love with. So he wears the shirt
Oh, I see.
to show her that,
That makes more sense
yeah,
because, like I said, it doesn't seem like you can. If somebody's wearing a T-shirt with their own name on it, it's like the dudes who have like their own name tattooed on them. You're like, are they going to be a certain level of douchebag? And if there's one thing that Flash Gordon absolutely is not, it's a douchebag. Like you said, you had it perfectly right when you said Golden Retriever. He's such a likable character, despite the fact that he can't like act particularly well. I'm like, I totally see why everyone falls in love with him. But that means it seems odd that he would wear a T-shirt with his name on it. But if you told me he's wearing it because a fan gave it to him, I'm like, I'm suddenly back on board.
in his backstory, Flash was given his T-shirt as a gift from an anonymous female fan. Flash wore it a lot, hoping he would eventually meet her.
That's charming because
Yeah.
I think his performance is incredibly self-effacing, which doesn't kind of meld with somebody wearing a T-shirt with their name on it. But I think that makes sense. But yeah, it's weird because, like you said, like Sam J. Jones, he's not a great actor, but he is all charisma on screen.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe that went some way towards the fact that he really didn't have a career after this. There's actually a documentary,
I was going to
Life After
ask you
Flash.
what has he done that's not been Sam Jones in
Well,
because
that's the thing.
yeah.
Like you can watch Life After Flash, which is I suppose I haven't had a chance to watch it, but it's on Plex. I think you can watch it for free on there. But it looks at his fallout with the producer Dino De Laurentiis, which I don't think did him any favors. And one of the reasons that a surprisingly large amount of his work in this film is actually voiced over, which I
Yeah.
didn't even realize. But then his subsequent typecasting, struggles with depression, and eventual comeback with Ted. But I think it's just one of those like he never quite got over Flash Gordon, and it happens to some actors. It's like they just look at him and just like I can't see you as anything other than that guy, and it's just basically it's both the start and end of their career in many respects, and a bit of a shame. But you can kind of see it because, like you said, he's not the greatest actor in the world, but great in this, absolutely great in this, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean he did well for what was needed in this film, but yeah, I don't give him
No,
like
great.
great.
Maybe what I want to say is iconic. It's the perfect role for him because, like I said, he's likable. He looks the part. He's not the greatest actor, but in this film, it doesn't matter. It almost works, like
People
accidentally or not.
people are saying as well, Dino De Laurentiis, like I should know who this guy is.
Mhm.
Like, oh, Dino De Laurentiis, he was the like a
Yeah,
producer of the gods kind of thing. I'm thinking, okay, but has he actually done anything that? To be fair, he
yeah,
has
he
produced
has.
quite a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, he's produced a lot, dude. He's
Serpic,
one of the most famous producers of the
yeah,
80s. We've
Serpico,
probably done a
Death
huge number
Wish,
of his films.
probably have. Yeah, I'm just going back now. Actually I don't know if we have.
I
Yeah, I
thought he
mean,
did a lot of canon stuff.
he's a lot of fucking hell. He's been producing since 1941,
Oh well,
right?
there we go. There we go.
So it's a lot of Italian stuff to begin with. So
Yeah.
and then you go up, and the first one I saw that I recognized was Serpico, but
Which
obviously,
is a great film.
yeah. Uh, but that wouldn't be the first one he's done because obviously Flash is before Serpico. So
Mhm.
sorry, let me just get past the 70s. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Halloween 2,
Yeah.
he's on credit for that. The original 76, oh, 76, would that be the remake? King Kong? Was that the
Yeah,
original?
yeah, that was the 76 remake with
Yeah, Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, yeah, which I've never actually seen.
Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah,
uh,
great film,
Dead Zone, Firestarter.
great film,
He's
great
a
film.
lot of uncredited on these. Mind June, Conan the
But he
Destroyer.
was, that's what I mean. Like he was involved in a lot of these films. And
Yeah,
I think he was one of these producers, like, when we did Days of Thunder, and we talked about Bruckheimer and stuff like that. That these producers who aren't just producing their film, their fingerprints are all over these movies.
yeah.
And I think Dino De Laurentiis was one of those producers, like this film in particular, where he had actually quite a bit of sway over the final product because he was driving the movie from the start. He was the one ostensibly picking the director because it's supposed to be a different director initially, a different writer, but he wanted to go in a different direction. So he's the one kind of forcing the narrative in many respects, and I think he did that in a lot of his films. So yeah, he was something of a kind of B-level super producer, I suppose. I don't want to say
Yeah.
super producer because they weren't all like AAA movies. This is all a lot of B movies, but the kind of stuff we've seen or people will certainly know, that's for sure. But yeah, like it's interesting that despite the fact that he was such a driving force behind the movie, one of the reasons it is so famous, as we mentioned earlier, something you clearly didn't know anything about, was Queen. But when I watched this film, one of my favorite bits of movie is actually this music is the stuff by Howard Blake. So when they land and Zarkov kind of tricks them onto his penis ship and it takes off, and that the ship taking off looks absolutely fantastic because of course you need somebody to do the pedal. It's fantastic. But
Yeah.
when they all kind of pass out from, I assume it's the G forces, and the ship is floating through space, it's an oddly beautiful sequence, and the music in those sections is fantastic. And bizarrely, it's used again in the visually sexual, if you can say such a thing, execution sequence. So when you think Flash Gordon is dying, when he's being gassed, which is all pretty hardcore, and I don't know why he's getting such basically a state funeral, send off. It's like this guy's just landed. They're like, oh, we're gonna all be there for his execution. He's gonna have his own branded coffin with a mirror inside. I'm not sure what the fuck's going on there, but that whole sequence is shot beautifully, and the soundtrack again, the score from Howard Blake is absolutely fantastic. But like so much in this film, it ranges from the oddly beautiful and poetic score of Howard Blake for these, occasionally moving sequences, and then next thing you know, you're back with Queen and football in Ming's courtroom,
Yeah.
and it's
It was
just you get a bit of tonal whiplash, I suppose.
it was nice of him to put his name on the coffin in the same font that it is on the poster. So that was lovely, you know.
What
And
the fuck is that about?
I don't know, and the doctor as well. That doctor could have been from Earth. He's wearing a white lab coat,
Yeah, yep.
right? And he's like, "Can we meet up in your fuck palace next weekend?" Yeah, 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 it's fine. You do what I've done. Like she's just is that it? Is her thing if she wants people to be with, she just fucks them. Is she fucking half of Mongol?
That seems to be the vibe that she is using her sexuality to get whatever she wants from everyone. And you can see why Dalton is like constant, and I keep calling him Dalton rather than Prince Baron. That he'd be annoyed though, because obviously she's absolutely gorgeous, and he clearly wants to, be married to her, but she just will not stop fucking everyone. Like that is clearly a calling card. It's like that opening sequence when Ming puts the moves on Dale, like basically uses his power ring and gets her to start dancing, which again was one of the sequences that reminded me of Big Trouble in Little China. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh my God, the reaction. The only other person who gets a reaction like this is your daughter. And I'm like, God damn, this is all a
yeah.
little bit Trumpian, isn't it? But
Well,
it's
that's the
that
same
kind
thing.
of movie.
If it's if Clytus as well ends up being clone of Ming,
Mhm.
Clytus is like, "Oh, can I have your daughter?"
Everyone's at it. On Planet Mongo, apparently anything goes. And
You also said you also said about Prince Baron. I'd love his last name to be, I don't know, Duke or
Prince
something.
Baron Duke, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. And he's really good in this. It's easy to forget because most people when they think of Timothy Dalton, you think of James Bond. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of us over here think of Hot Fuzz, which is fantastic. But he is very good in this, and you can see why he was made Bond. Like he's got that whole dashing leading man look about him in this film.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that he's, you can see he's a stage actor. Let's put it that way. He's decided, oh, I'm going to treat this like a stage play or a pantomime, whatever you want to say, and I am going for it. Or it could be one of those like, Face Off is maybe the ultimate example where you're just like, all right, Nicolas Cage has turned this up to 11. I've got to match him because, we're supposed to be, the mirror of each other kind of thing. So John Travolta's like, I've got to go to 11 as well. And I can just imagine Timothy Dalton's on set and then start seeing Blessed going for it and just like, well, I'm going to have to match that energy. I'm going to have to turn this up again. And then everybody else follows suit and you end up with this charming mess of a movie.
He kind of kept it as well, didn't he? Because I like to think as well that he kept because Baron really feels like Neville Sinclair from The Rocketeer. It's like the
Yeah, yeah.
same character,
Totally
basically.
does. Totally
Yeah.
does. That was a much better example than the ones I gave. I totally goes in the Rocketeer.
Love him in a Rocketeer. We've done the Rocketeer.
Yeah, we did the Rocketeer. A really good film until the ending. The ending just didn't really hold up. the stuff on
Oh,
the blimp, and it just wasn't
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
And
Like it's
Hollywood
another
Land
Oscar film.
became Hollywood because he blew up land. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember like because I didn't have the same attachment to it that you did growing up, and I was watching Rocketeer, and I was like, man, this is just a good film. And then like the final act just didn't really land for me. I was like, that's a bit of a disappointment. You know, it's always like when you're enjoying a film, you always think like if you shit the bed at the start and you stick with it, and it kind of keeps getting better. Instead, that film kind of got worse. But hey,
Yeah.
anyway, listen to our Rocketeer podcast if you want to
I
hear more.
completely fucking 260 episodes or whatever. You
It's
kind of
easy to
forget the
forget the
ones we've
movies we've
yeah.
got,
Yeah.
but yeah, to bring it back to this film, and you know, I mentioned earlier about like the weird shifts in tone. You know, that football sequence I mentioned earlier, where it really goes for it, and you get the music and the huddles and all that. It's like you go from that immediately to a weird sex torture dungeon. Like that's the
Yeah.
kind of film this is. Like when you watch that, you're like, oh, this is the movie that I think a lot of kids who have like fond memories of this film remember. They're like, oh yeah, it's like Flash Gordon playing football against Ming's army, and you know, blah blah blah. The music's fantastic. 2 minutes later, he's in leather pants with a giant spiked helmet on, hung up in like a sex dungeon. You're just like, this is weird. Where are we going to go from here? Oh, he's being executed in his weird little black pants. It's odd. And I remember in particular when I was younger, I found the sequences on God, what's the planet? Not Princess Aura's briefly referred to secret pleasure moon. You mentioned that this
Yeah.
film has a lot of planets. She has her own secret pleasure room. When they go to the planet of Arborea, so the tree folk planet,
Yeah.
ostensibly, when they have to put their hand in the tree stump thing, and there's the weird, I don't know, giant bug scorpion
It
thing.
was a slug scorpion, wasn't it? It was absolutely insane.
I
Yeah.
remember that finding that
I do
quite
remember that,
disturbing
yeah.
when I was younger.
I mean, but that thing has been troped to no end since then. How many times has somebody put their hands in
Well,
something and expecting
it's
it to,
basically just a sci-fi version of the Deer Hunter. It's just sci-fi Russian roulette. That's all it is. They're
yeah.
basically just both daring each other. Who's going to be the one who gets stung first? That's really all it
You
is.
need Richard O'Brien in the background going, Diddy Mao, Diddy Mao, Diddy Mao.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it is quite tense. It's inherently quite tense because they do a great job of
It's
setting up.
tense. It is tense and the setup is lovely. I just wish they didn't show the creature because the creature is just shit.
I mean, now it is, but you can imagine it
Yeah.
being pretty effective. But you know, they do the whole like, oh, you know, that guy, you know, the guy who gets his hand stung is immediately like, oh, kill me because I don't want to deal with the consequences. I was like, well, that's pretty fucking hardcore. But yeah, it's just fancy Russian roulette, and Russian roulette always works on screen if done half decently.
Speaking of hardcore, changing the subject, where the fuck did Kala come from? General Kala. Like she wasn't there for like most of the first third of this film. But then
Yeah,
all of a sudden, Clytus is like, oh, I gotta fuck off a little bit. You take control of everything. It was brainwashing. What's his name? Wasn't there? Brainwashing Zarkov.
yeah. Brainwash shark. Yeah.
Only go to 3 because he can't handle it. Okay,
Yeah.
bye bye. I'll do exactly what you say. Turn this bitch to 6. To 6? Yeah, to 6.
Why we don't know why, and like you said, she disappears. And towards the weirdest, I think the weakest part of this movie is actually the ending because it all gets very messy. So things are just at this point when you're talking about like the flight of the Hawkman, which looks cool, but it's like the attack on Ming's palace. At this point, I'm just like, I don't quite know what's going on or what the plan is and how anybody is kind of organized. But at that point, you've got like Zarkov and Prince Baron just running around. You get those weird eye dudes who just kind of melt. And then, like you said, she has a ring which shoots, which is basically a flamethrower that comes out
Yeah.
of nowhere. And then, like 20 seconds later, she's also melting. And it's like, oh, that's the end of her. Because, like you said, it's like she shows up and you think, oh, this is going to be some big double cross because she's turning Zarkov's intelligence, whatever the fuck it is, up to 6. She was told only 3, she's going to 6. Then she disappears. And then she shows up for 2 minutes at the end and she's immediately killed. And I'm just like, okay, that feels like we're missing a scene or two here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny
very
as well
strange.
because when you had the really long of Flash, there's 3 minutes left till the Earth blows up, but it's taking fucking forever to get.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's like the washing machine when
lightning
it tells you
shield.
it's a minute.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why does my washing machine lie to me? It says a minute. It takes at least 7 minutes when it
Yes,
says a minute.
I've had that argument with not argument conversation with my wife lately. Like, why the fuck is this still taking forever? 15
Yeah, it's
minutes
like
later.
1 minute. It sounds like it's about to take off. And I'm like, well, at least it's going to be a minute. And then I come back like what feels like 10 minutes later. The fuck is still going. I'm just, all right, whatever.
When she sends Ajax out, like send Ajax out. I'm wondering who the fuck Ajax is. I'm like,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the
I
fuck?
have no
Like,
idea.
who's this dude? Ajax was the ship.
Yeah, I had no idea.
No, I didn't. I'm expecting like you Ajax. You know, you got some big beast. This is going to be a guy you're going to have a showdown with Flash. No,
Mhm.
Ajax is the ship.
Is that the ship that they use to? So basically, Ming gets the drop on Flash. Yeah. So Ming has Flash on the Hawkman, whatever you want to call it,
It was
planet
the
or
first
moon.
ship they sent out, I believe, before Clytus appears out of nowhere
Okay,
and then
okay. So
gets
I'm thinking it's that ship. So
yeah.
basically, at that point, Ming, who's saying, all right, fair play, everybody loves Flash, so he gives Flash the options. Like, you can rule the Earth, but you got to be basically my dude. And he's like, no, I can't be doing that. So at that point, Ming's like, well, I'm gonna have to kill you. That's when I'm just like, well, you need Scott Evil from Austin Powers to come in and just like, well, dude, just shoot him, just shoot him.
Hmm.
Instead, of course, they go back to their ship, which I assume is the Ajax, and they blow up the planet, but without actually being able to see and ensure that he definitely died. Just like, come on, Ming, if you're so good at this, just kill him. Just kill him for
Did you
God's sake. It's all very
did you feel
silly.
cheated as well that there was no Ming Flash showdown? Like basically, Ming just
Yeah.
got penetrated by a ship.
Yeah, it's quite strange. So the big actual showdown, bizarrely, is actually between Flash and Prince Baron,
Yeah.
which, of course, because it's Flash Gordon and this movie is so oddly horny, what weapons do they have? Whips. Of course they have fucking whips. That whole sequence feels like the big mano a mano showdown, which you assume is going to be with Ming, and it, like you said, it never comes. It's just you see Flash flying towards Ming's palace. You have all these plans going on in the background. You don't quite know why. We have to, remove the electric field or whatever, lightning field, blah, blah, blah. They add a sense of urgency and excitement by adding the main theme. So, like, Flash,
Yeah.
that comes in because he's not doing anything. He's just flying forward. They briefly sell you on the idea that it's a suicide mission, but of course, that's not required. And I was just like, oh, well, he's going to land in the throne room and have a big fight with Ming. No, no, he's just going to impale Ming immediately. And if anything, Ming looked like he tried to get impaled, stepped into
Yeah.
the danger, as it
Yeah.
were. And that's kind of the end of the movie, which leads to the bizarrely happy ending with like the Hawkmen drone celebration and all that jazz. It's all very
Before
bizarre.
that, before that, it's the weird. We don't know how to really transition this film, so Sam Jones is just going to improvise jumping into the camera.
That is weird, right? That is
Yeah.
weird. The whole ending's weird. It's a shame because just before that, one of the best sequences in the film are the amazing wedding vows. So they're delivered by Philip Stone as the high priest. I'm not sure if you recognize Phil Stone because he had a beard on and everything, but I guess he's most famously Grady from The Shining. That's what people
Okay.
I think would
Yeah.
know him
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
But he's fantastic, and the writing in that section in particular is wonderful. I think it maybe captures the tone that they were going for maybe more successfully than at any point in the movie. But it is followed up by a pretty janky finale, and even the stuff with like the Hawkman at the end, it looks kind of cool. But I never really got an idea as to what they were doing or why they were doing it. I think, like you said, my big issue with the third act is that things just kept happening. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to follow this. I don't really care. I know it's going to be a happy ending. I didn't know it was going to be such a cheesy happy ending. Like I said, when he jumps up into the camera, it's,
Yeah.
oh my God. Only this film could kind of get away with it. And I say kind of because it doesn't totally get away with it.
So growing up, right? I never like because I was young at the time. I knew of Flash Gordon, but I knew it of a different way. Now, I I think Flash Gordon the serial had its very first parody. I think this might have been the very first parody that ever existed. I'm just guessing
Mhm.
at the moment. But I grew up knowing of a film called Flesh Gordon.
I totally knew that. I remember it from the video store. It being, I've never
Yeah.
seen it, but I totally remember it being a
So there
thing.
was two. There was Flesh Gordon and there was Flesh Gordon. So that was in 1974. And then they
Mhm.
did a sequel in 1990, Attack of the Cosmic Cheerleaders. But what's interesting about the original 1974 Flesh Gordon was there was a character called the Great God Porno, played by
Yes.
an uncredited Craig T. Nelson.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It was just one of those like weird films where I'm just like, well, I guess it's kind of just like really, really soft core kind of sci-fi porn because it wasn't in the porn section, I think. It was just in the normal video section. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a movie from the 70s, so I never had any interest in it. But I
I
don't know
got
if it's
I
got any kind of official relation to the Alex Raymond created original, the
I hardly
1934
thought.
comic
I
strip.
gotta
But
tell you the name of the four main characters though.
go for it. Go for it.
Well, Flesh Gordon,
Mhm.
Dale Ardo. That's yeah. Yeah, I don't get that one. Dale Ardo. Dale Harder, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
Dr. Flexi Jerkoff.
Wow, yeah, that one's
Yeah,
not too particularly
yeah.
tricky to get.
Emperor Wang the Perverted.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm probably not going to do that on the podcast. But that's the thing, though. I mean, obviously that was created before this, but
yeah.
it's like this film doesn't need to be any sexier. It just doesn't need to be any sexier. I just don't think you're going to get any sexier than Ornella Muti as Princess Aura. I just don't think you can get sexier than that in any film.
They came down at the end. You had Princess Aura again. Yeah, not getting any sexier. Princess Aura coming down with Prince Baron, and then Dale and Flash, and
Mhm.
they're all coming down in the weird Star Wars esque,
It's
you know,
very Star
pin
Wars,
pin
very Star
medals on
Wars.
us walking down
Mhm.
the stairs. What you didn't see before they returned to Earth was the big orgy that these four had.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. It just feels like that kind of universe. The planet Mongo's pretty freaky, quite clearly. So yeah, whatever happens afterwards, God
Yeah,
knows. But yeah, it's almost a shame that there wasn't a sequel. But a big part of that again was the fact that it just didn't do huge numbers in America. But it's such a unique tone. You can imagine like a big part of it would have been like if you got the advertising right in certain markets. It's like like I was mentioning earlier about this idea that you could either love this, you could like it, or you could genuinely hate it, and all of those are genuinely acceptable responses to this movie. And
yeah.
I can imagine it'd be the same country to country. You can see why this might have landed quite well in the UK, why it did big numbers here. But yeah, for one reason or another, it just didn't land in the US, and that's obviously why it didn't get a sequel, which is a bit of a shame because I would have liked to have seen more of it. But I can live without it all the same. It's
They
fine.
were signed on for multiple films. I don't know how many multiple are, but yeah, they signed on for a few.
Yeah, I would, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this had done even remotely decent numbers if they'd made additional films. But like you said, with him falling out with De Laurentiis and everything else, and I know it eventually became this cult classic and made money in the long run. But yeah, you can see why there were numerous hurdles as in regards to a potential sequel. But should we move
Yeah.
on to Rob Steak?
Yeah, I've already told you one or t'other of them. I had a few for this one, like you said. Uh, I mean, I gotta go. One of them is Zarkov's greenhouse rocket. I mean, this man builds a fully functional interplanetary spacecraft in his greenhouse, like
Yeah,
he's knocking together a shed.
100%.
It's
It's all a little bit Wallace and Gromit, isn't it?
He's done all of that, but he wasn't smart enough to figure out that one person flight, somebody had to control the brake or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I
Yeah,
mean. The whole pedal thing, I'm just like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Really, that's the only reason. Like, they could have just been like, oh, it needs two people to kind of, fly the ship or deal with something instead of just like, oh, yeah, we need somebody to do that pedal thing. Really? A pedal? Okay, fair enough.
Uh, Two more. The football fight.
Hmm.
Flash playing American football with Palace guards who've never seen a ball before. It's like the most confusing sport crossover in America. In
Yeah,
cinema,
yeah,
sorry, not America. It's insane.
yeah. Of all the
Yeah.
sports, American football, strange one.
And the one that really got to me was the romance speed run. Even in a film this unbelievable, the sheer speed at which Flash and Dale fall in love is the most ridiculous thing in it. They meet on a plane, they crash into a greenhouse, they are kidnapped by aliens, and within minutes they're acting like they've been married for a decade. It's romance by way of adrenaline and shared trauma.
Yeah, Dale is basically ready to marry him, like within, I don't know, by time the kind of the
I
sky
reckon when
turns
he took
red
over the plane,
over sky,
when he took over the plane,
she
when he
was
said, "Oh,
ready.
I can fly this," she was like, "Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
so
in."
like he's charming. He's the quarterback of the is it the Eagles or the no? It's the New York Jets, isn't it? The New
New
York
York
Jets.
Jets, yeah.
And not that that really matters.
Do you
It's
know
just
what he
like
was though? They made him quarterback in this film, but do you know what Flash Gordon originally was a star of?
no idea.
I want to say lacrosse.
Really, lacrosse.
Yeah, I believe
Not
lacrosse. Yeah,
quite as cool as it, and especially
no.
out. I know lacrosse is popular in America, but it's kind of like making I don't know James Bond a cricket player. It's just like, oh yeah, well he used to be the captain of the England cricket team. That might actually work slightly better. The lacrosse just doesn't travel well at all. I'm
So I'm
sorry.
gonna say lacrosse or oh, sorry, no, I'm wrong. Polo.
Everything I just said still
Yeah,
applies. Everything I
like in
just
the
said still
original
applies.
comic strip, he was a polo player at Yale, but by
Hmm.
1980, yeah, polo wasn't really that popular. So
It's
they
not that
went,
kind of
yeah,
film. Yeah, yeah, totally making the quarterback. Favorite scene? If I was going to give mine, it's probably the reception at Ming's Court. Or Zarkov's ship sequence, which I really enjoyed as well. I know I mentioned the fact that, things go pretty off the rail at Ming's Court, but I think you get both sides of the movie in one section. And it looks fantastic. It's fun. And it's incredibly iconic. So I'll go with Ming's Courtroom or
For
throne
me,
room, whatever you want to
for
call it.
me it was the Hawkman battle on the war rocket Ajax.
It's a good shout.
It's like Flash Gordon is most gloriously unhinged. Brian Blessed screaming like he's trying to intimidate the sky himself.
Mm.
Ming's forces firing lasers that look like they were drawn on during someone's lunch break, and Flash swinging across the screen like a himbo Tarzan in space. I mean, I put down the acting is wood and the dialogue is carved from pure cheese, but visually it's a feast. The matte paintings, the bold colors, and costume design so committed it becomes art. It's the moment the film stops pretending to be serious and fully embraces its destiny as the camp sci-fi opera of the century.
Yeah, and as we mentioned last week, one of the reasons beyond the fact that it was quite dark and weirdly sexual and stuff, numerous reasons why I probably wouldn't have warmed to this film when I was 8 years old, is the fact that watching this in like 1988 was probably the worst possible time to watch it
Yeah,
because it would have just felt old-fashioned and chintzy, whereas now those kind of like old-fashioned serial style effects, they are quite charming. And of course, your knowledge of movies and movie history improves, and you're more accepting of that aesthetic as being a choice rather than it just, when I was 8 years old, I was just like, this movie looks shit. That's what I was
yeah.
thinking, rather than it being an actual choice and a kind of aesthetic design, so to speak. Oscar season, in which we hand out 3 Oscars and 3 Razzies in categories of our choosing. Number one, the Oscar for best selection of on-point t-shirts goes to Flash Gordon. As I said, has his own. I know you've explained it somewhat, which kind of takes the argument away. But he has his name on the front, but then he has a space one with lightning on it. It's all very convenient. Two, the Oscar for surprisingly epic legs go to Brian Blessed as Prince Fulton. Just as I mentioned earlier, great teeth too. And the Oscar for sexual chemistry goes to Ornella Muti as Princess Aura. I mean, she has sexual chemistry with her own dad. It's absolute filth. And if I were to sneak in a fourth very quickly, the Oscar for being an inexplicable badass despite being a travel agent goes to Dale and her whipping loads of Ming's royal guards for no apparent reason.
Uh, for me, the Oscar for the best actor who thinks volume equals performance goes to Brian Blessed.
Bless his
He
heart.
bellows every line like he's trying to win a shouting contest with God.
Yeah, no one like you said, there are a lot of big performances in this film, but unsurprisingly, no one can quite match Brian Blessed.
Which is random because the one line we think he shouts, we've already said, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
bizarre. It really is bizarre.
The Oscar for the best production design that deserved a better script is the entire art department. The sets, colors, and costumes are stunning. Psychedelic comic book brought to life. The visuals is doing 90% of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and that part that will be De Laurentiis, as we mentioned earlier. Like he wanted a comic book movie with comic book characters, and if it basically just jump off the screen in the same way a comic book would. And even though I don't agree with all of the choices, it is successful in that regard for sure.
Yeah. And finally, the Oscar for the best villain who looks like he's having the time of his life goes to Max von Sydow as Ming the Merciless. He's playing it like it's Shakespeare in space, while everyone else is in a panto.
Absolutely. The Razzie for diegetic musical number that makes zero sense goes to the inclusion of Felix Mendelssohn's Wedding March. As you mentioned earlier, there's no reason for that to exist on the planet Mongo. The Razzie for most bizarre use of the Isle of Skye as a movie location goes to Flash Gordon. I was genuinely surprised when the movie started. I was just like, wait, this isn't the movie I was expecting at all. And I was like, is that the Isle of Skye? It is, isn't it? Yes.
How far is that from you?
Probably 4 hours or something like that. The thing is, the Isle of Skye is massive as well because like it's absolutely gorgeous. But when you get there, it's the biggest island off the coast of Scotland, and to drive from like the southern tip to the north, it's like an hour, hour and a half. Like I was just like, oh, once we get to the Isle of Skye, because I was the one doing the driving, I was like, I'll be pretty chill. And then every day I was driving for like 2.5 hours. Like this is fucking insane. But absolutely gorgeous place if you ever get the chance. Yes. I guess most famously, I'm not sure if it's most famously, but most recently, it's used at the start of Prometheus.
Okay.
And they really go for it with the old man at store and everything like that. Anyway, it feels a lot more natural in that film than it does in Flash Gordon, put it that way. The Razzie for most bizarre use. Oh no, I'm just reading the same one again. The Razzie for needlessly tiny leather pants goes to Flash and his execution sequence. It's still bizarre seeing that now. I just don't know why they chose tiny black leather pants, but it is what it is.
Was that it? You did 3, did you?
I did. I tried to do the second one twice because I'm an idiot.
Okay.
But yes, I've done 3 now.
The Razzie for the worst line delivery in a moment that should be serious is Sam J. Jones in Flash. Every dramatic line sounds like he's reading off a cue card, held slightly too far away.
Yeah. And some of his lines are quite charmingly chivalrous. Like when he tells Dale, it's like, quick, hold my hand. It's like, and nowadays the whole joke would be, why do I need to hold your hand? She just holds his hand because she's in love with him, so it's fine.
The Razzie for the most unintentionally hilarious dialogue is the screenplay. Every conversation feels like it was written by someone who skimmed a comic book and said, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
And finally, the Razzie for the most camp per square inch, the entire film. Feathers, sequins, lasers, capes, mustaches, and Queen blasting in the background. It's a sensory assault in the best way.
Yeah, yeah, it is
Yeah,
just camp as fuck. I mean, that would be my poster quote for this film. Flash Gordon, camp as fuck, three
camp as
stars.
fuck.
Spoiler alert, I suppose. Any alternative titles for this film? Which would be somewhat surprising considering Flash Gordon, but whatever.
Well, French Canadian, Guy Lightyear.
Guy Lightyear.
Guy Lightyear,
Actually,
yeah.
I actually quite like that. Pretty cool.
Finland, Flash Gordon, Striking Lightning.
Yeah, fair enough. They're going
Yeah.
doubling down.
Uh, Norway, Lynn Gordon.
Lynn Gordon.
Lynn Gordon.
Lynn Gordon. Just Lynn. Okay, fair enough.
And Taiwan, Flying War.
Flying. Well, yeah, that is a
Yeah.
different one. I guess, the end of the film, maybe. But yeah, some strange ones. Lynn. Bizarre. Hug to Future. This is where we ask a question. Remake, sequel, Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. I know I've forgotten facts. I've forgotten facts. I've skipped facts.
We have done quite a few facts, so
Yeah,
you can be forgiven. But so all the main cast members were signed for multiple films. The first movie didn't do as well as expected, so the sequels were never made. We already said that. Max von Sydow's Ming costume weighed over 70 pounds. He could only stand in it for a few minutes at a time.
So basically, between shots, everybody's just laying on the ground.
Yeah, everyone's just fucked.
Yeah.
Sam Jones's dark hair was bleached blonde, and Melody Anderson's blonde hair was dyed brown. Flash was supposed to have blue eyes, but Jones couldn't wear the contact lenses.
Fair enough.
Director Mike Hodges, referring to the production problems that plagued the film, once called it the only improvised $27 million movie ever made.
Well, yeah, kind of answers a lot of the questions.
Clytus was not in the original comic strips nor the 1930 serials. He was created solely for the film.
I think he's great. I think he's cool.
One of the feast items in the Hawkmen's kingdom was Twinkies coloured with food dye. There you go. There's a bit of a fact for you.
Brilliant. Who doesn't love a Twinkie? I say that. Who actually loves a Twinkie? I actually quite like a Twinkie, but I think it's hard to be passionate about Twinkies.
There was a considerable language barrier on set due to having English and Italian crews.
Mm-hmm.
Melody Anderson came up with Dale's cheerleading during a football fight. I wouldn't be proud of that, but
yeah, I thought it was a step too far. There were moments in this film, as you said, where you enjoy the camp of it all, but they just push it a little bit too far, and that's one of those moments.
According to an August 1981 interview with Starlog magazine, Dino De Laurentiis really wanted Kurt Russell to play Flash Gordon. Russell turned the part down because he thought the character lacked personality, and then went on to do Snake Plissken, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of vibe, though, isn't it? But supposedly they also talked to Arnold Schwarzenegger about this, which would have been a very different movie.
Oh, yes, fucking hell. Conan in space.
I can see Kurt Russell, though. You can imagine if they dyed his hair blonde, those flowing locks.
His hair would be lovely now, wouldn't it?
His hair would have been lovely.
Yeah.
Would have been lovely.
According to Brian Blessed, it took about 3 days to prepare the Ajax sequence and put everything, including dozens of hanging Hawkmen, in place. Blessed put in his own special effects, going pew, pew, pew as he shot his cardboard bazooka. Because of this, they had to take another day to reset. Blessed didn't feel too bad, as Sam Jones was also a pretty hot hand with his prop gun, also filling in the pew pews.
Wonderful. You hear about this, like with Star Wars, with
with the lightsabers
and stuff. Yeah.
You cannot. I've never held a toy gun and not gone pew pew pew.
I guess it just kind of comes naturally, and especially with all that going on, it'd be hard not to feel like a kid, wouldn't it? With all the set design, you're dressed like a fucking hawk, you're being hung up in the air, and you're given a laser gun, and you're just like, I'm going to do the pew pew. I'm totally going to do the pew pew.
2 more Brian Blessed ones, and then we'll end it there because there's fucking loads. Brian Blessed was an avid fan of Flash Gordon since childhood. His favorite character was Voltan.
Nice.
And then Brian Blessed improvised the scene where Voltan sexually assaults Dale. Melody Anderson's reaction is understandably genuine.
Well, that's charming. There we go.
And we will end it on sexual assault, apparently.
As we often do. Do on this podcast. So now we can get to Hug to the Future, remake, sequel, Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. We mentioned the fact that there were planned sequels, which never happened. I don't think you need a remake to this. I think it belongs exactly where it is, and I think you should leave it well alone. I think it's a unique piece of 1980s cinema with a wonderful cast. I just think if you remake it, you can't try and remake this movie. You have to go back to the source material and make a different kind of movie, something closer to the source material. Because if you try and do this again, you're just not going to match it. Whatever madness this is. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily all work, but it's nothing if not unique. I just don't think you can capture lightning in a bottle again. So, pardon the pun. So I think leave well alone personally.
And that's the interesting conversation that we've had with like Phantom and The
Mhm,
Shadow and anything that has this rich a history, a
mhm,
backlog, an IP in regards to, yes, okay, you when you say remake, we're not talking about remaking or redoing the character. We're talking
mhm.
about this specific film. And in this specific film, leave it alone.
100%.
Absolutely leave it
100%.
alone because you're not going to capture the lightning in the bottle, the magic in inverted commas, whatever you want to say. Uh,
Yeah, because even if you don't like it, I think most people can agree there's something about this film. There's a reason it's lived long in the memory, and I
yeah.
just, like you said, you're just not going to recreate that. So yeah, just leave it be. Because like you said, because it looked chintzy in the 1980s. It's got like that distinct look. So it's oddly aged quite well because it's always looked kind of crap. So
Yeah.
now like I said, as an adult, I'm just much more accepting of the fact that this look. I say crap, like you said, the colors, the aesthetic, it's all wonderful, but it has that kind of like 60s Star Trek vibe to it, where
Yeah.
everything's like theoretically and artistically cool, but everything looks like it's made out of cardboard. It's got that kind of vibe.
I mean, in regards to the character, I could see some more Flash Gordon stuff, but there's going to be a lot of changes if you're going to do it. I mean, Prince Aurora's aura is probably not going to be as sexually charged as she is. You're definitely not going to have uh, Asian Ming, the Merciless. Is probably going to be something
No,
else.
you'd have
So
to change
yeah,
too much. And, I think if you go back to the original source material, what you end up is something closer to like Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're going to kind of bring it up to modern standards. But like you said, I think you'd have to change too much nowadays. Just like I said, it's just not worth the fuss. Leave it well alone.
yeah.
In terms of making a change, if you can only make one change to make this movie better, I mean, for me, it probably is just refining the tone. I can make an argument for the final battle or the third act being a little bit too rushed. But I think if you could just settle on a tone or find, the kind of a middle ground rather than kind of these wild swings back and forth, I think it would make it for a slightly superior movie.
So kind of the same way, but I put let the performance match the visuals. The film looks incredible. It's like timeless. It's bold, operatic style. The acting never rises to meet it, in my opinion.
Except
So
for
if
Max
the
von Sydow.
except for Max von Sydow, if the performances have been even slightly more grounded or at least consistently camp instead of accidentally camp, the emotional beats would land a bit harder, I reckon. So yeah, I just
Well,
think
like
the
you say,
acting
it's
needs to match the
it's
style.
it's just, I don't think any singular performance is necessarily wrong. It's just the fact that a lot of them don't match. It's like
Yeah,
Sam J. Jones is acting in a slightly different movie to Max von Sydow, and Max von Sydow is acting in a very different movie to Brian Blessed and Timothy Dalton, who, in fairness, those two probably are in the same movie. But like you said, it kind of like you said, it's kind of the other side of the coin in regards to the tone. It just keeps going back and forth and back and forth, and you just don't know quite what they're going for. And to bring it back to the director, you get the impression, yes, this is just improvised and everyone's just going for it. And it's like, well,
yeah.
we'll just put it on screen and see what happens. Kind of works, but more luck than judgment, put it that way. In terms of video games,
If we say the same video game, we have been hanging around with each other way too much.
I
Just
don't think we're
FYI.
going to say it on this one. This would be amazing if we said this one. But there was an original Atari 2600 game developed by Sirius Software in 1983. It was basically a Defender ripoff, which they often did with Atari games back in the day. They would just take a license and kind of apply an arcade template to it. Luckily, Defender is an absolutely fantastic game. So even though it has those like blocky, very rudimentary Atari 2600 visuals, it actually looks okay as far
Yeah.
as, because I always say like Atari 2600 is like nostalgia is not enough. Like if you go back and play like NES games, for instance, a lot of them are still really good. Like if you go back and play Super Mario Brothers 3, for instance, it's like I don't think you necessarily need the nostalgia. It still plays fundamentally very well. The same with like Punch Out on the NES, a wonderful game, still looks really cool. If you go back, even if you have nostalgia for the 2600, if you go and try and play a lot of those games now, the noises, the visuals, it's rough going back. This is one of the better looking ones, but I don't think it played particularly well. But if you were going to do a video game of it, and actually we mentioned about, would you have a sequel to this film? If I were to have a sequel, it would definitely be in a video game format, kind of like they did with Indiana Jones, where you could
Yeah.
get some of the voice cast back. I think that's the only way it works. But tonally, I'm thinking Obsidian with writing from like the Outer Worlds and Avowed, but the gameplay closer to Alpha Protocol. I'm not sure if you ever played Alpha Protocol on the
No,
360 and PS3.
I've
It's
never
like
heard of it.
it's more of a spy game. but made
Okay.
by that same company. But if you look at their games like Outer Worlds and Avowed, it kind of has a bit of the camp. It kind of, tonally shifts back and forth. But gameplay wise, I'd go Alpha Protocol. But what are you
Cool.
going to go for?
Well, before I say what I'm going to go for, I'm doing a bit of behind the scene here. Would you like me to pause so you can go and close your curtains because you're
It's
being beamed up again?
it's okay. I've just moved my seat around. We're fine. We're fine.
Okay, okay.
Cool.
Uh, I actually went with Bayonetta,
That's a great shout. Great shout. I love that game.
Platinum
Platinum
Games
Games.
Bayonetta. Yeah, I mean it's a perfect match in tone and energy. You got the over the top camp, the wild color palette, the villains who monologue like they're paid by the syllable, action scenes that feel like fever dreams, a protagonist who survives through sheer confidence and vibes. It has that shared DNA of style over realism, maximalist world building, a commitment to spectacle above logic, and a tone that says you're here for fun, not physics.
And just to confirm, also incredibly sexy. Very
Yes,
sexy. It
yes,
absolutely leans into that. You win this week. Bayonet is absolutely the correct answer. Yeah, you could do like a bit more world building in terms of rather than it just being like a kind of high intensity shoot 'em up because ostensibly Bayonet is like Devil May Cry but with boobs and all that nonsense.
yeah,
But yeah, I think you're closer to Flash Gordon's tone with Bayonetta without question. Certainly, you can imagine it existing in that world for sure.
yeah.
In regards to IMDb, this is where we pick one random 10-star and 1-star review. Before we do that, I try and guess how many written reviews there are. Are there a lot for this film?
There's more than I would have thought, but also less than I would have thought. If that doesn't help you at all.
320.
Oh, 364.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
go with that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good.
10 star.
Oh, I think there might be quite a few. 46?
There are. I moved off it. 72 10-star
Okay, fair
reviews.
enough, fair enough.
Just a reminder as well, before we actually move on to the next thing after IMDb, remember I have the average game for IMDb now that I brought in last week. So
Cool.
I'll play
Nice,
that
nice,
in a
nice.
sec. 72 reviews. This one picked at random, like they always are. Written in April 2007, titled "What Can I Say? It is the perfect comic book sci-fi." After watching, I mean, I don't trust this guy anyway because he spelled Fi, Fie.
Yeah, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. After watching those Saturday serials at the movies when I was a very young kid, I was thrilled. How fucking young? They were like 30s, weren't
I was
they?
gonna say,
Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
I was thrilled that the hokiness and campy style that was evinced by action star Buster Crabbe was so excellently caught in the psychedelic big budget version of Flash Gordon. To begin with is a dynamite cast with Sam Jones, a non-actor, but what a hunk, as Flash Gordon, football player turned into galactic hero. Melody Anderson was an acceptable Dale Arden, while Chiam Topol was the perfect Dr. Hans Zarkov. And the always incompatibly Max von Sydow seems to have had a ball as the deliciously evil Ming. Timothy Dalton, a future James Bond, was good also. Was good also.
He's good
Brian
also.
Blessed as King of the Hawkmen was in rare form. Finally, there was Peter Wingard, whose character oozes the essence of evil with a touch of ennui. To
And
top
we
it all, ennui?
mm-hmm.
Uh,
On we.
yeah. To top it all off is the sound score by the rock group Queen, with the plaintive vocals by Freddie Mercury. What here is not to like, unless, of course, you have had your sense of humor surgically removed.
Oh, so some people are very judgmental when they like these films.
Yes.
In terms of 1-star, obviously there's going to be less. 17?
9.
9.
Yeah.
I can deal with that. I can live with that.
Okay. So this was written in December 2002, titled "This Might Be the Worst Movie I've Ever Seen." The perfect example of a movie made solely as a quick money-making attempt with little or no regards to quality. Flash Gordon is perhaps the worst movie ever made. The acting is atrocious, the special effects aren't, and the plot moves along as if directed by a toddler. If you need to laugh, try it out. It's so bad, it's funny. He laughed at that joke, he did, didn't he? The
Absolutely
special
loved it,
effects aren't.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he giggled when he did that.
He thought he was really clever. It's one of those ones you
Yeah,
think, by the time you think about it, you're just like, yeah, it probably wasn't worth it, was it?
yeah.
But yeah, more than a little bit harsh. But again, I can totally understand why some people would absolutely despise this film. I mean, we mentioned whenever we do this IMDb section, you get like the real psychos because a lot of these films you'd be like, oh, this is like a 3-star film, and anyone who thinks this is 10 stars, sorry, I know it's bizarre when I'm referring to it as being a 3-star film because I'm talking about it out of 5, and then the IMDb scale being out of 10. But you know what I mean? If it's like a kind of a 5 out of 10 film, and you get these psychos that come out, it's like, no, it's the worst film ever, or it's the best film ever. As you mentioned earlier, most of the responses to this film are probably justified because
Yeah.
like I said, some people are going to despise this film, other people are going to adore it. Myself, bringing in our own scores and recommendations.
Sorry, before you do, sorry, it was the game. Sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Before we go on to
go for
our,
it.
that's okay. So 364 written reviews, 66,000 star ratings. Out of the 66,000 star ratings between 1 and 10.
Oh, okay, we go.
Yeah.
What's the most
What's
popular
the
number?
highest? What's the most popular number yet?
I see. I think it's going to be something that I think it's going to be like 7.
Winner.
Ah, awesome, awesome. Yeah,
Right.
I just feel like a lot of people are going to really like myself, which no spoiler here for my own scores and recommendations, but it's one of those films where there's a lot to like, but it comes with caveats. This, even if you adore it, and I think even the people who give this 10-star would probably admit that they're like willfully overlooking its shortcomings. I think this is a really fun, really enjoyable film, but with plenty of problems. So I think 7's just about bang on.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel pretty good about that. Did all right with
Well done.
the guessing there. Our own scores and recommendations. So I've kind of tiptoed around this. You know where I'm going. It's a 3 and it's a yes from me. I think this film has aged wonderfully because of the fact that it feels so timeless in its own unique way. It's utterly camp. There's nothing quite like it. I'm not going to tell anyone that you're definitely going to enjoy this, but I just, because there's nothing quite like it, and because the performance is so big, even if you hated this film, I feel like it's the kind of film you could still enjoy watching. Does that make sense? Kind of like the one genre I always say I can enjoy watching a bad movie in potentially is horror, because you can kind of like, it's almost fun to pick them apart, bad horror films. This film, it doesn't work in the same way, but I'm just like, even if you didn't get on board with the tone, with the aesthetic, everything else, because the performances are so big and because it has all these famous faces, I feel like you probably still take something from it, even if it didn't work for you. But it did largely work for me. I did like the tone, I did like the performance, I like the characters, but it has plenty of problems, as we've already mentioned in the past hour and a half. So yeah, a 3 and a yes from me.
Yeah, I mean, with this visually stunning looking 2-star film, it's just the acting for me, the acting and the story and
I get it.
The words coming out of their mouths, the script, yeah, the acting, the script.
Yeah.
It's a bit much for me to want to push this further. But the look, I think the look holds up.
Yeah,
The
it does.
campness of it is perfect for this style of film. But it's a 2. It is definitely a 2, and I
get it.
Probably not going to recommend it. It's not one I could wholeheartedly say you should go back and watch.
Yeah, it almost feels like,
Yeah.
when we've talked about like comedy, for instance, or music's a perfect example, where you're like, there are certain kind of art forms which are particularly subjective, where, you can talk about it, you can objectively break it down and say what works and what doesn't. But fundamentally, it's either going to work for you or it isn't. And this is one of those movies. Because there's so much going on with, the visuals and the performances and everything else, it's either going to work. And, like we said, you could be anywhere on that scale. So even when I'm saying I would recommend it, it'd be like, just to be clear, you might fucking hate this film, but it might end up being one of your favorite things ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 and a yes for me. But as I said, could be, if you're thinking about rewatching this, God knows how you feel about it. We could talk all fucking day as we work, but until you go back and revisit, and even if you loved it as a kid, you might feel differently about it now, and vice versa. As you said, I wasn't particularly fond of it as a child. I enjoyed it a lot more as an adult. It's just one of those things. But yeah, a strange movie and very hard to review, actually.
Yeah.
Next week, so that was 1980s Flash Gordon. Next week is your choice, sir.
Yep, I will say we're going campy in a different way.
Okay.
I haven't seen this film. I have wanted to watch this film, so I'm using.
Oh, you've never seen it?
I've never seen this film.
Okay.
We are both aware of this film, I believe, but I haven't seen it. And I'm using the podcast as an excuse.
Which we're doing more and more often, I think. There are films where I'm just like, I want to watch this. I'm like, we'll do it on the podcast.
A lot of these films kind of pass us by as kids because they didn't really come into the video shop for us.
Yeah,
They,
yeah,
they would be like so now they're more readily acceptable on streaming and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
going back to them. So the year is 1986.
All right, I'm gonna need more on that because I'm assuming it's going to be relatively niche.
The director is David Winters.
David Winters. Can you give me any of his other films, just as a quick hint?
I can. You're not going to get any of them. So
Okay, fair enough. Let's make
I
me feel
actually
better
I
about
don't
not
even
knowing
think
anything.
he directed any other films.
Oh,
He
it's just
played
this.
Arab in 1961's West Side Story.
Well, now I know exactly what you're going for. And you did say movies, so this is a series, is it?
No. It's just one film.
Oh, it's just one film. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
For some
Uh,
reason, I was just like, oh, maybe it's the Ghoulies or something like that. I have no idea, no idea.
no problem. Let me find his directing. I mean, the last thing he did was 2015 called Dancing It's On. He also did
Oh.
Welcome to Ibiza, Space Mutiny, Codename Vengeance, Rage to Kill.
Okay, well, this give me an idea that we're definitely going to be in B movie territory. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, Josh Brolin?
1986, Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
It's not that BMX film, is it?
No, that was Rad.
Rad, that was it. He
Yeah.
was in Rad,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
No, he wasn't in Rad, no.
Oh fuck! Wasn't Josh Brolin in like one of the BMX movies?
No, he wasn't. Josh
Okay,
Brolin was in a skateboard movie that we're going to cover next week.
Thrashing.
Thrashing.
There we go. Oh, maybe that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. Sorry, I totally forgot it wasn't a BMX movie. I was like,
So there was
he was in a movie with fucking wheels. I'm sure of it.
there was a
Thrashing.
BMX movie from 1986 called Rad, which we want to do on this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That has Laurie Loughlin in it.
Yep.
But no, Thrashing
This
is what.
feels like the last time you picked a film and you picked Dark City, and I was like Dark City adjacent. I was like, oh, it's that film. It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
not that film. But you're really close. And I've done it
Yeah.
again. I was like, oh, Josh Brolin, the bike film. No, it's not the bike film. It's the skateboarding film, Thrashing.
He was
That
on
just
wheels.
sounds like a video game. That sounds like a NES video game, doesn't it? Thrashing.
It does. Yeah.
Well, there was a video game which sounded just like it. I think it was made by Rare. Remember Tubin?
I don't remember Tubin.
You know what Tubin is. Where
I know what Tubin is. I remember, and spoiler alert for like video game next week. I remember Skate or Die.
Yeah, Skate or Die. Yeah, that was a big
Yeah.
game on the NES.
Yeah.
And obviously,
I had it on the. What did I have it on? The Game Boy.
oh, on the Game Boy. I didn't know they did
Yeah.
a Game Boy version. Yeah, I had it on the NES back in the day, but I just remember it being really hard. Well, at least I was terrible at it anyway. But Thrashing, that's a great chat. Where can one watch Thrashing?
One can watch it on the font of all random movies, Amazon Prime.
Oh, nice. Is it on actual Prime or do you
No,
have to
yeah,
rent it?
it's not. I mean, if we had to rent it or go through some random third party on Amazon, I wouldn't have picked it. No, it's
Okay.
on Amazon. Yeah,
It's ready to rock. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm same as you. It's one of those films that almost bizarrely passed me by because, like you
we
say,
have
you're like,
discussed it. We've discussed it.
yeah,
many
we
times,
totally
but
discussed
yeah,
it, and you're
yeah.
just like Josh Brolin in a skateboard movie in 1986. I'm just like everything about that. I'm like, oh yeah, so I saw it, right? It's like no, like the fact that neither of us have seen this film is almost inconceivable. It is bizarre. So yeah, this one's going to be fun because I'm sure it's the kind of film we probably would have loved when we were kids. And we'd be talking about now, like, oh, does it hold up and stuff? We have no point of reference. We're just going, like, how does this movie work in 2026?
It's funny because he's coming off like the high of Goonies, isn't he? And he's like his next project was, oh, you know what I'm going to do? A skateboarding
Well,
West Side Story Romeo and Juliet movie.
maybe that's why Josh Brolin ended up in the Hollywood wilderness for a long time. People forget, like, he was not a big thing until it was like 2007.
2005, No Country for Old Men.
I thought it was
Is that where you're
2007, No Country for Old Men.
I thought it was 2005.
Or maybe it was 2005, but it was around that time. It was No Country for Old Men, and then obviously
fuck you win again.
2007, yeah,
2007,
go
yeah.
fuck yourself. And then next thing you know, he's Thanos, and then he's in fucking Deadpool,
It's
and he's
funny
one of the
'cause
biggest movie stars on the planet.
You are thinking of that wilderness, like what you said, but you also think, no, he did do some films. Like, I know it wasn't big, and he was probably like near homelessness before he did No Country for Old Men,
Mhm.
but he was also like in Mimic and in Hollow Man and just these
Yeah, no,
random
like you
films.
said,
Yeah,
he always hung around, but like like you said, off the back of Goonies, you see him in that film, you're like, oh, he's going to be a movie star, and he's got his famous dad and everything like that.
that's
And
the
you just
problem, though, is the nepotism and nepo babies start off well and then kind of,
yeah, and
for the most
like you said,
part,
he was in a bunch of films, but like that whole leading man thing, which we kind of expected, never really happened. But then all of a sudden, when he was in his early 40s, I guess it was, you get those films, and then next thing you know, he was in what was the awesome Denis Villeneuve film? Sicario. He's in Sicario. He's
Yeah.
fantastic in that. And, all of a sudden he's Josh Brolin, who, like, let's be clear, for the past, 15 years has been one of the biggest stars, not like top tier, but a big star,
Yeah.
no doubt. But it all
I mean,
started, or restarted, as it were, with No Country for Old Men.
you're not going to give him his props for playing Jonah Hex?
I am not giving him his my right. Jonah Hex, I was kind of looking forward to, and then you hear
Then it
one
came
bad
out.
thing after another,
Yeah.
and then you saw the runtime was like 79 minutes, and you were like, "Oh no, this has been decimated in the edit." And I did watch it, and it's complete cobblers, and it's not his fault. He's actually quite good in it. He's
Yeah, he is
actually
good.
quite good in
It's
it.
everything around him that's
It's
not good.
everything around it. It's
Uh,
like, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to go on because I was going to change the subject, but
Oh no,
you
no, it's
go.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done.
I was just saying because I was looking at his in between
Mhm.
this, the Goonies, and like he was
What
in
happened between Thrashing
yeah,
and No Country for Old Men?
he was in the Mod Squad.
The Mod Squad.
Yeah. So we don't know much about the Mod Squad. I've
I
seen this
know
film.
the name.
I owned this film on DVD.
Yeah.
But the Mod Squad was a TV show in America. It
Yeah, yeah,
never made
yeah.
it big over
That's
here.
all I knew it
Uh,
as
yeah,
the
about
TV
like
show.
I think they were like teenage coppers. I
Hmm.
think that's what where it is. Like they were
Yeah, so
teenagers
it's
or
from the 60s as well. So you can
yeah.
see but it never
I think they were
really, like you said, like things like Starsky and Hutch, they kind of traveled over here. The Mod Squad, it may have been shown on Channel 5 or Channel 4, whatever, but it never really became a thing over here.
no, the Mod Squad. Claire Danes, Omar Epps, Giovanni Ribisi, Dennis Farina, Josh Brolin, Richard Jenkins. Like it had a decent cast.
That was, 1999. Do
Yeah.
you know, I did see that. I totally forgot about it. And if you go back and like look at the poster, it's such a 1999 poster. It's just
Yes.
1999 as fuck. And the cast is incredibly late 90s. Yeah, that is a film I I think at the time when I watched it, I didn't even realize that was based on a TV show because it's weird. The film was so forgettable that I remember the Mod Squad as a TV show, which I've never seen, but forgot the movie in its
Yeah.
entirety. But yes, I have seen this fucking
You
movie.
you are right about the poster because if you take those actors and the title out of it, and then you could easily swap that with. Do you remember Go with Katie Holmes and
It
Timothy
looks
Oliphant?
just like Go.
Yeah,
Only don't make that mistake because you want to watch Go. You do not want to watch this.
no
And
one
I was
else.
like,
Yeah,
why have I completely forgot this film? 3% on Rotten Tomatoes and 4.4 on IMDb.
yeah,
So
it's not good.
I think I was
It's not
probably
good.
watching it just for Claire Danes in 1999, as I had quite a bit of a crush on her, in fairness. As a lot of people my age did after Romeo and Juliet, because
Yeah,
beautiful woman. But yeah, don't we're not doing the Mod Squad. Fuck that noise. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting talking about Josh Brolin's career, his ups and downs. Well, it's not. It was just like up, then kind of just plateaued, and then suddenly massive again. But it is
yeah,
was. But I think that's a great chat because, as I said, it's one of those films. I'm not sure if I ever would have just randomly like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna watch Thrashing, but I am actually quite looking forward to it. So
no.
fine choice,
And
sir.
we're gonna get there now, and then it's gonna go. You might like Rad. You might like Gleam in the Cube. You might like.
Well,
We've done Gleam in the
if you're
Cube. Yeah.
interested, we've done Gleam in the Cube, and it is still fun. You should have a listen to that. So I'm just going to look up what do you think the IMDb score is on Thrashing?
Ah, fucking
Just
hell.
because I have no idea. It suddenly dawned on me. I'm like, I don't know if this is well reviewed or not.
It's more than Mod Squad. I
It's
think it's I think it's the same. I'm gonna go the same as Flash Gordon.
what's that?
I was 6.5 Flash Gordon.
Absolutely bang on.
Oh,
Absolutely on the
nice.
snout. 6.5 on IMDb and 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, pretty well reviews, all things considered, for a 1986 skateboarding movie. So yeah, decent cast, decent reviews. I think this could be a fun one. I don't know
Yeah,
what to expect, but my hopes are a little bit high after checking out those reviews, if truth be
yeah,
told.
absolutely.
So we'll see how that goes. But anything
Yeah.
else before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Do you want me? Fucking, I can't get my words out. Do you
Fine
want
enough.
me to do a message from a listener before you play your game, or do you want to do your game first?
I'll do the message from a listener because I've got to grab the game. So I'll go grab that now while you do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
And just FYI, it's my game next week where we're bringing back the known for.
Oh,
Uh,
good stuff.
what I will say as well is if you're looking, while I'm just pulling up this message from the listener, if you are looking for thrashing, remember it's the cool spelling where there's
Of
no G
course.
on the end.
No,
Yeah.
no, you can't have a G on the end. Thrashing. Jeez, what are
Do you
we
know
in
you
the sea?
mentioned Timothy Dalton as well, that we know him for his Hot Fuzz?
Mhm.
How upsetting is it that that was 2007?
I don't care for it at all. I do not care for it one bit. That's nearly 20 years ago and it's very upsetting.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Right.
ruining my
So
day.
no problem at all. We had a message from Ben Morris. He said, "Loved listening to the Days of Thunder episode. As a racing fan, I love this movie, but I totally agree with all the criticisms you guys gave it. I was laughing at the fact that when you see bad driving in the movie, you guys kept on saying red card, when the correct term is actually black flag. Sorry to be pedantic, but I just had to mention it. Keep up the great work, guys. Your podcast is always a great companion for when I'm stuck at work." I will say,
well, the terrible thing is, I'm a Formula One fan, and I totally know it's a black flag, and I just let you get away with all this fucking red card nonsense. Ridiculous.
I was just gonna say, I'm glad we help you through work. We'll keep hopefully keep helping you through work, but I will wholeheartedly keep calling it red card. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no going back now. There's no going back. So yeah, any racing films just keep putting a red flag. We should do that for any sport, ostensibly. Yeah. So as for the quiz, so this is where basically it's just 3 movies. They're just hints, bizarre hints as to what they are, and you've got to guess. That's it. Yeah. Sorry, I felt like it was poorly explained, but you get the gist.
Well, I mean, they're basically poorly explained. They're poorly explained.
Yeah, I should have just said that. Yeah. A game about identifying movies from the worst descriptions ever. I should have just read the box instead of whatever the fuck I just said. Absolutely.
I don't know why you. Yeah, I mean, we've done it 3 weeks in a row now, so people know what
do you know
we're
what?
doing.
I think it's because I've had a large Red Bull. I've noticed that. If I ever read, because every so often I'm just like, I've had a tough day in work. I need a Red Bull. Just get me going for this podcast. I don't often drink Red Bull, and I get a little bit I don't get jittery, but I start talking absolute cobblers. So I think I just need to cut these out. Anyway, back to the game. So the first one: a member of the military starts driving a food truck.
Oh,
it's a good one.
Yeah. A member of the military starts driving a food truck.
It's tricky, but I'm going to give you a hint before the additional hint.
Okay.
We covered this on the podcast not that long ago.
The food truck thing is throwing me.
It's weird, right? Just to put it this way, we talk quite a bit about the fact that he drives a food truck, but shouldn't be able to drive a food truck. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Short circuit.
It's short circuit. Yeah, the next hit would have been he was hit by lightning, which was a bit of a giveaway. So I actually thought that was a tricky one. As soon as I was a member of the military starts
because we didn't settle. We didn't settle on whether they were military or private military, like, because we didn't know what the fuck was going on with
that. Would be a little bit pedantic, but I totally understand. Like when I read the clue, I was just like, I didn't get it immediately at all. I actually had to read the second clue before I got it myself. Second movie, a police officer spends a lot of time on the toilet.
Is this Lethal Weapon 2?
It is Lethal Weapon 2, a movie inexplicably we've not done yet.
We haven't done. What's that about?
If only so I could just do the diplomatic immunity in South African accent at the start of the podcast. It's absolutely absurd. And
you better hope you pick it before I do then.
I have to. I have to do that quote. The second hint was until it blows up. So that really does give it away. It got on pretty quick. And the last one this week, a police. You can see there's a theme here. A police officer scores a couple of free bananas. Bit easier that one.
Yeah, it is. It's Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, yeah. And the hint would have been during a stakeout to give it away.
We're going to fall for no banana in the tailpipe.
I think you've got all of them so far, right? I think you're like
I'm
9
doing
for
okay.
9.
I mean, you have you've silver spooned 1 or 2 of them to me. I think
that's the only one was the short circuit one. And in fairness, I think you would. The thing is, I have every confidence you would have got it based off the second hint. So that's why I was trying to give you a different, because I was like, that's almost too easy. But I actually think that was the first one I saw. I was just like, oh, that was actually pretty tricky. So I think.
I think I'm 100%. Yeah, I'm 100% so far. How many cards are there out of interest?
It doesn't say. There's a fair few though. So we've got a fair few weeks of this before we run out. But
we have to buy the expansion pack.
We're gonna have to. Yeah. So you're 9 for 9 thus far, anyway. Yeah. Anyway. I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you've been listening to the Hey You Guys podcast. Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Hey, you guys!